Okay, we're going to start out with a 90-second opening statement. Okay, so start there.
I've been very active throughout my life, and I've lived in Keene since I was 4, as my dad was, and my granddad, and my mother, and my grandmother. One of the things was hammered into me that whether you succeed or not, it's probably your success is based on the community you live in. Keene is a great community. Cheshire County is a great community. It's been good to the Robertsons, and the Robertsons have tried to be good to it. I've headed the United Way. I've been on the Y board. I've been in the Salvation Army board. I've been in the city council. I've been in the Keene school board. I've been on the Keene planning board. I've worked on practically every drive there's ever been in this town. I spent a year, one night a week, sleeping and talking on the phone at the suicide prevention people. I've volunteered everywhere. I've had great employees. They treated me well. I treated them well. I've tried to live up to the parents I had who hammered into me and my brother and sister early that what we have, we got because of our customers and our employees and our fellow citizens. And that's why I run for office. That's why I've served. That's why I listen. That's why when I disagree with somebody, I tell them so, etc.
Can you go ahead and let everybody know what your name is?
I'm Tim Robertson. I'm running in Ward 3. I've been in the legislature from at large and from Ward 5. I moved to get away from a staircase because my wife has problems with her hips.
Great, thank you. Okay. All right.
Hello, thank you for moderating this. Thank you everyone that showed up. I really appreciate that the local TV station is going to air this. My name is Keith Carlson. I'm also running for Keene Ward 3. And likewise, my family has been in this area for generations, and I really appreciate that. And all that this area has done for my family over the years, whether it's been the factory that they've owned, or it's been the houses, or the beach house, or whatnot. Also, I would like to just talk about what I want to do. I would like to run for state rep, I'd like to win, and then I would like to cut your taxes. I would like to give you more freedom, more free time, cut the county taxes, the city taxes, the state taxes, and of course, improve the economy and lower the cost of your health care. Thank you.
Great, okay, now we're gonna go into the 8-minute Q&A with questions from the moderator. All right, so Keith, this time you'll get to respond first to the first question, and then you'll get 60 seconds. He'll get 60 seconds, and you get 30 seconds to rebut. Okay, so the first question is, if elected, what will be your highest priority?
My highest priority, if I'm elected, will be obviously to improve the economy. That is the main issue that most people are thinking about right now: jobs, the economy, taxes, healthcare. It's simple, that's what we need to do. And there's many ways to fix all of these things. One thing to improve the economy, to bring about more jobs, would be to allow businesses to hire more people. That's one of the problems right now all over the country. There's so many regulations on businesses. It's hard for them to hire people. Their taxes are so high. In New Hampshire, we have just about the highest business taxes in the country. So that's a big detriment when you compare New Hampshire to other nearby states that actually some of them have lower business taxes. And then of course the whole country we're competing with, and even the world. And so America obviously has some of the highest business taxes in the world, as probably everyone here knows.
Our highest tax that hits the people is the property tax. Nobody escapes the property tax. And ours is twice what Massachusetts is. I have friends who moved to Massachusetts after they retired because they couldn't afford to continue to live here. If we want to get this economy in better situation, the capitalist system is built on consumption, consumers, the people at the bottom with money in their pocket. When the minimum wage is half what it was under Dwight Eisenhower, and it's less than the poverty level, which it used to be, it's now half the poverty level. One of the reasons there was no mother on my neighborhood, and I lived on the corner of Coolidge Street, which is not an upscale neighborhood, there wasn't a single mother who worked. They were all home, and when their kids got out of school at 3 in the afternoon, they were home to look after their kids. Today, most women are working. The kids from 3rd grade are bringing themselves up when they get home in the afternoon. Nobody to watch them. Nobody to remind them what they're doing is incorrect.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I completely agree. Property taxes are way too high in this county, and I will definitely work to reduce your county property taxes. And also, I will make sure that the state, just like the Republicans and Democrats, they keep pushing things down to the county level and the town level. I will not do that. I will not push down anything to you, and I will cut your county property taxes. Every day I will try to cut your property taxes.
Okay, what is your position on medical marijuana?
In my first session of the New Hampshire legislature, I put in a bill to decriminalize marijuana. We have the highest prison population in the world. More prisoners than China. And what are they in for taking a drag on a, let me just tell you, these numbers may be off, but the difference between them are on the nose. 1 million people a year die of tobacco. 100,000 die of alcohol. All the hard drugs kill 10,000. There has never been one death certificate blaming marijuana. I don't smoke. I stop kids on the street and say, why are you smoking? You've read everything about it. It costs you $5 every day to maintain that habit. It's killing and it's addictive, and they continue to do it. You're not going to give up the hard drugs by making them illegal and sending their supplier to jail.
Again, I agree with my opponent. We should obviously have decriminalized marijuana, medical marijuana. I've gone to Concord so many times over the last few years, lobbied Republicans and Democrats to push for medical marijuana, and I was really sad to see Governor Lynch veto it. It's so hard. There's so many people that are sick out there that are near death. As a veteran myself, I know so many people that are suffering, so many veterans, so many elderly people, and they really need help. They really need medical care, and Governor Lynch and people just won't let it happen. I don't understand why they're standing in the way.
You get your pass. I thought I already answered that question. I am also a veteran, to throw that in. That's the symbol of the unit I belong to. It's a donkey. It must have been a Democratic unit, but we were the first ones to cross the Isthmus of Panama before the canal, and we were carrying our cannons. I wasn't there. On top of the donkeys. I'm not as old as the Panama Canal. Almost.
Thank you. So what is your preferred tax policy if you become elected? So that will go to Keene first.
Well, obviously, I'm against the income tax. If you look at the history of income taxes in the U.S., just like we said earlier, the U.S. started with a 1% federal income tax, and then it got up to 92%. So obviously, that's not good. If you look in Connecticut, if you look at New Jersey, they started with high property taxes, no sales tax, no income tax. New Jersey is the best example because it started with the highest property taxes in the entire country, no sales tax, no income tax. Now it has high sales tax, income tax, and still the highest property taxes in the entire country. So you can't create an income tax, which is why I support question 1 on the ballots for November 6th. But also you have to lower property taxes. You have to use user fees as much as possible, just as was said earlier, and you have to cut property taxes. You have to expand the base of who's being taxed, which is why we need to attract more companies to New Hampshire and expand the companies already in New Hampshire. And if we cut the sales tax that we have in New Hampshire, the meals tax, then you could do that.
Whether you believe it or not, companies do not pay property taxes. Their employees pay them by getting less money, or their customers pay them by paying higher prices. Businesses do not pay taxes. I am a businessman. I own a lot of commercial property. I was in the automobile business. My brother is in the oil business. any tax we pay is passed on to our customers or subtracted from what we pay our employees. Why don't we put the tax where it belongs, and why don't we, like good Christians, the rich, take care of the less fortunate? Look what happened to Berlin, New Hampshire. They went in and sent the businesses to China or South America, then came in and tore down the mills so they wouldn't have to pay taxes. Now, what do the people in Berlin do? They starve. They don't, but close.
So businesses do pass on taxes to their consumers, that's correct. However, a business will leave America in order to pay less taxes, or a business will leave New Hampshire in order to pay less taxes. So do you want jobs in New Hampshire, or do you want the jobs in China? That's your decision, that's your choice. Do you want the jobs in New Hampshire, or do you want the jobs in another state? I would like to have more jobs in New Hampshire. I would like to help the New Hampshire economy as much as possible. I mean, I like the entire world, but I'm really not focused on helping China right now. That my biggest priority as running for state rep is to help New Hampshire.
Okay, and now we're going to open it up to the rapid fire questions from the audience.
To Mr. Carlson, you keep talking about cutting taxes, cutting all those taxes. So you must have some plan about if we're cutting taxes, we have to cut expenditures of the state. Where would you cut expenditures for the state?
That's a great point. So we need to expand the base of businesses that are being taxed in New Hampshire, and also we need to cut certain expenses. So there's lots of welfare fraud in New Hampshire, for example. New Hampshire has the least restrictive welfare card restrictions in the entire country. So obviously that's one area, but there's plenty of areas that could be cut on the county level, on the state level. There's areas all over. And then also, of course, we can expand creatively on ways to create money. For example, you can expand charitable gambling. You can also expand gambling if towns are willing to allow that. So you can create ways.
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
What do you do for a living?
Yes, I work for a company that likes to promote liberty.
Like, that doesn't tell me what you do for a living.
I travel around the country and talk to people about ideas.
And they pay you for that. I'll join you.
I wonder, this for,
So that'll be his third question.
okay. Regarding your connection of property tax and income tax in the state of Connecticut, you do know that the income tax was implemented to reduce the business taxes, and in fact was not aimed at reducing the property tax. And it has really succeeded in reducing the Connecticut business tax to a far lower level than it is in New Hampshire. Would you then consider the income tax?
I agree that business taxes are too high in New Hampshire and
But-
they should be cut. And I agree that taxes are too high in Connecticut, but I'm not in Connecticut, and I never said that that was implemented to get rid of property taxes or whatnot in Connecticut.
Well, you,
Can I comment?
Sure.
I would point out that probably Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York, who we're picking on about their taxes, their average income is probably 2 to 3 times what New Hampshire's is.
Lower.
higher.
It's actually
Income
lower.
is income.
In
Income.
New York, people make a lot less money than people in New Hampshire overall.
That's not, I don't believe that. Oh, yeah. Well,
Daryl?
No, this is Mr.
My son works
Robertson's
in New
question. Do you
Mr.
support
Rutherford.
fair ballot access? And would you support or introduce legislation that all candidates be treated equally for ballot access purposes?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Just say yes.
Currently, Republicans and Democrats have one path to the ballot. Everybody else has a much harder path to the ballot. It took the Libertarian Party $20,000 and 15,000 signatures to get on the ballot. Would you support the same path to the ballot for Libertarians as Republicans and Democrats?
I think once you get on the ballot, the next year it'll cost you the same as the Republicans and the Democrats. Probably the Republicans and Democrats paid the equivalent of 20,000.
No,
100
they're
years ago.
automatically on the ballot
They
because
are
of the
now,
way.
and you will be too.
Only if John gets 4% of the vote.
Well, should we let 1/10 of 1% be on the ballot just because they want to be? One person?
Vermont has fair ballot access for all parties that are organized. They generally have no more than 5 or 6 candidates for any statewide office.
I don't think that's a problem that should be handled, and I really don't see it as a huge problem. If you've got to have 4 or 5% of the votes before you can get on the ballot,